Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is called Parshas Vayeishev, and it's almost completely about Joseph, the son of Jacob. Every year again, when I read the portion, I read it both with trepidation and with admiration. Trepidation because of how much Joseph went through, right? His brothers hated him. He was kidnapped. He was repeatedly sold into slavery. He was thrown to prison unjustly. Okay, how many, and with admiration because he always came to the top. No matter what happened to him, a true Horatio Algier story. He always came to the top. He always succeeded. And we have an incredible example of that at the end of the Torah portion. The end of the Torah portion says, here he is in prison, and he found favor in the eye of the director of the prison, and he was managing the prison. And he comes and he sees who's there in prison. Two of the stewards of Pharaoh, the beverage steward and the baker. Okay, and he sees that they're agitated, that they're not happy. And he goes up to them and he says to them, what's bothering you? What's the problem? Now, think about it for a minute. Here's a person who himself was unjustly imprisoned. If I was in prison, what would I do? I'd be waiting for me to get out to take revenge on the people that put me there. And who's standing in front of him? Two of the staff of Pharaoh, where one of the other people himself was the one who put Joseph into prison, right? And instead of just ignoring them, or even more, projecting on, of course you're agitated. Who wants to be in prison, especially the minister of Pharaoh? Instead of projecting onto those people his own feelings, what did he do? He asked them, what's bothering you? What can I do to help you? And it was because he said that to them that ultimately he was freed from prison, became the Mishnah Lamelech, the second to Pharaoh, not only saved the entire world from an incredible famine, from destruction, but he saved his own family and guaranteed the future of the Jewish people. What can you and I learn from that? You know, of course you have to think about who you are and where you're going, but sometimes just that experience of being self-absorbed, we can lose the whole plot, right? We can lose the forest from the trees. Here's an example of when just by Joseph getting out of his inner space, asking somebody how they are, how are you doing, that transformed his life from negative to positive, the same way from all of us. When we sometimes, instead of worrying about ourselves, worry about the other person, try to get involved in their life, break out of our own obsessions about ourselves, help the other person, that's where everything is going to change, and that's where our salvation is going to come from. Shabbat Shalom.